Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to welcome you to this conference press that will be held by Mrs. Francine Muyumba, the President of the Pan-African Youth Union. She'll be remarked as on the agenda 2063 of the African Union. And we welcome all journalists who are here and all media agencies to attend this conference press. I would like to introduce you the presenter of this afternoon. Mrs. Francine Muyumba is the president of the Pan-African Youth Union. As you know, that the Pan-African Youth Union is the organ of the African Union in charge of the youth across the continent, and she'll be here to speak to us about this agenda and the challenges and the perspectives as regard the youth in the continent. So I'm going to give the floor to Mrs. Francine Muyumba to talk to us about the agenda. Madam, you have the floor.
J'aimerais tout d'abord dire que vous présentez l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse, qui est une structure de l'Union africaine en matière de la jeunesse, bien sûr, qui représente tous les jeunes des États membres de l'Union africaine. Au niveau de l'Union africaine, nous travaillons avec tous les dirigeants, y compris les États, les chefs d'État, le jeune MM et la présidente de la Commission de l'Union africaine. Maintenant, si nous parlons de l'agenda 2063, si vous voyez très bien, cet agenda sera nul si ça ne priorise pas la question de la jeunesse. Tout le problème que l'Afrique est en train de traverser aujourd'hui sont les problèmes qui sont causés par les jeunes sur le plan sécuritaire, sur plusieurs plans dont il est question à ce que l'Afrique, à ce que l'Union africaine puisse mettre le jeune au centre des prises de décision. Cela veut dire que nous devons passer de signatures, nous devons passer des instruments que nous avons sur la question de jeunesse et passer à des actions concrètes. Cela veut dire qu'aujourd'hui, au niveau de l'Afrique, au niveau des États, il y a un problème majeur qui est le problème du chômage des jeunes. J'ai suivi plusieurs intervenants pendant ces 2 jours. J'ai suivi le représentant des NEPAD ce matin. J'ai suivi tant d'autres commissaires qui ont passé ici et qui ont martelé sur l'importance d'investir dans la jeunesse du continent. Alors aujourd'hui, si nous parlons de l'agenda 2063, le jeune se pose la question au niveau du continent pour savoir si vous nous parlez de 2063 et nous sommes en train de souffrir maintenant, de quoi parlez-vous? Quelles sont les actions palpables? Mais il est aussi important de souligner et de dire que l'agenda 2063 a des priorités. Il y a un plan stratégique de 10 ans et parmi ce plan stratégique, notamment, il y a la question de la jeunesse qui est une question multisectorielle qui touche partout. On ne peut pas parler de trade sans avoir la jeunesse. On ne peut pas parler de paix et sécurité sans avoir la jeunesse. On ne peut pas parler de tout ce qui est développement sans l'implication de la jeunesse. Bien sûr qu'aujourd'hui, ceux qui sont dans les groupes armés sont des jeunes. Ceux qui sont dans le mouvement, le terrorisme et consorts sont des jeunes. Donc il est important d'investir dans cette jeunesse. Les États africains sont appelés à investir dans la jeunesse du continent. Et s'il n'y a pas de programme concret sur la question de la jeunesse, bien sûr que cette jeunesse sera exposée à tout et sauf à rien, et elle va se permettre de faire n'importe quoi pour déstabiliser nos États et déstabiliser les continents. C'est pour cela qu'il faut comprendre, et l'Union africaine doit tout faire pour voir comment nous pouvons mettre en place des stratégies concrètes. Cela veut dire que ce qu'il faut faire à ce qui concerne l'emploi des jeunes, nous pensons que l'entrepreneuriat est vital pour la création de l'emploi. Et si nous investissons à travers l'entrepreneuriat des jeunes, nous pouvons réduire les taux de chômage. Et dans le passé, les États, l'Union africaine avait demandé aux États de réduire les taux de chômage de 2% l'an, mais c'est avec une déception que je vous dis que nos États n'ont pas été à la hauteur. Les jeunes sont confrontés à beaucoup de problèmes, le chômage dépasse et ce sont des risques énormes sur la sécurité de nos États. Et bien sûr, je pense que ensemble, avec la Commission de l'Union africaine, avec le chef d'État, et bien sûr qu'avec tous les États, nous pouvons mettre en place des stratégies qu'il faut pour faire face au chômage des jeunes et aussi encadrer cette jeunesse. Si l'Afrique n'est pas à la hauteur de prendre en charge sa jeunesse, c'est un problème sérieux. Donc cette jeunesse sera exposée à tout, et tout celui qui viendra pour utiliser et manipuler cette jeunesse, la jeunesse, bien sûr, sera là pour détruire tout ce qu'on a construit. Et aussi, nous devons inculquer ou bien promouvoir l'esprit du panafricanisme au sein de notre jeunesse pour, bien sûr, le développement de l'Afrique. Maintenant, qu'est-ce que nous sommes en train de faire avec la Commission de l'Union africaine? Le mois passé, à Banjul, en Gambie, nous avions célébré le 10e anniversaire de la Charte africaine de la jeunesse, dont on a reçu le rapport des États membres sur ce qu'ils ont déjà fait depuis 2006, que cette charte a été signée à Banjul en 2006, mais on a constaté que le niveau de mise en œuvre est trop bas. Et nous avons constaté que les États doivent fournir plusieurs efforts pour voir comment assurer la mise en œuvre de cette charte de la jeunesse africaine, et aussi les États qui ne l'ont pas encore ratifiée, qui ne l'ont pas encore signée, de le faire le plus vite possible pour permettre l'autonomisation de leur jeunesse. Bref, en général, au niveau de la Commission, on s'est dit, voilà, pendant la réunion des CETES, comité spécialisé jeunesse, sport et culture, au niveau de la Commission de l'Union africaine, on a récemment décidé de commencer l'initiative, le processus de mettre en place un fonds africain pour le développement de la jeunesse. Et c'est ce qu'on va amener au niveau des chefs d'État pour adoption. Et bien sûr qu'on va également mettre en place d'autres stratégies pour permettre la création de ce fonds africain de la jeunesse. Ce fonds peut permettre à promouvoir l'entrepreneuriat chez les jeunes, surtout dans le secteur agricole. Nous avons les jeunes qui sont dans les milieux ruraux, qui sont dans l'agriculture, qui peuvent être appuyés avec le microcrédit. Et pourquoi pas avoir une banque africaine pour la jeunesse et voir comment nous pouvons travailler ensemble avec la Banque africaine de développement, avec la Commission de l'Union africaine pour la matérialisation et la faisabilité d'octroi de ces fonds à la jeunesse du continent.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente de l'Union africaine de la jeunesse, pour l'exposé relatif à l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine. À marge de ce sommet, le 27e sommet de l'Union africaine, la jeunesse a beaucoup d'attentes, la jeunesse a beaucoup de questions. C'est pourquoi maintenant nous allons remettre la parole aux journalistes pour pouvoir poser des questions auprès de Madame la Présidente, afin qu'elle apporte des éclaircissements et des explications à toutes les préoccupations que vous avez. Nous allons donner la parole un à un. Je commence par Madame, qui est devant nous, peut-être.
Maybe Furaha could do a small introduction in English.
Thank you very much. I will appreciate it. Thank you. Before I ask my questions.
Before you ask your question. First, I would like to say that young people represent more than half of the population of the continent. And today, most of the problems we are facing as Africa are caused by the problems that young people are going through. And today, we cannot speak of African Union without having young people at the center of decision making. We cannot speak of Agenda 2063 without having young people as a priority. And this is why there have been a lot of improvements since Madame Zuma came to power. We have been able to push most of the concrete things that we are doing with her. And you can see that young people are really involved in what the African Union is doing. And most importantly, we have different programs at the African Union level, such as the Youth Volunteers Program. And this Youth Volunteers Program is doing a wonderful job because you see these young people are serving in the African Union, including in the office of the chairperson of the African Union. You have these young people serving in the entire continent in regional organizations and other organizations. And also she promoted intergenerational dialogue because we need to open that dialogue between the current generation and also the generation that is now in leadership of the continent. And we cannot speak of youth without thinking of unemployment, which is on the continent. Today, Africa is celebrating 10-year anniversary of the Africa Youth Charter since adoption in Banjul in Gambia in 2016. So African leaders took their responsibilities of saying, this is what we are going to do for the young people of the continent. The African Youth Charter is the legal framework, the legal document that has the rights, the freedom, and of course, of the young people of the continent. Now, when it comes to the African Youth Charter, there's been a big challenge in terms of implementation. So we managed to have reports from different countries for the 10 years existence of the Charter, but we have realized that there's a big challenge in terms of implementation. And young people are going through a lot, especially with unemployment. And of course, it's now, I can give an example, for instance, Kenya, which is doing very well with the 30% procurement, both for women and youth. And also at our level, we said, okay, well, we have all these good instruments on youth at the continent level. But what is the problem? Why does this challenge? So we said, okay, why not coming up with an idea of creating an African Youth Fund, African Youth Development Fund, which can offer some microcredits to young people, especially in the agricultural sector, those in rural areas who are having brilliant ideas, those who can be financed and they can create jobs for other young people. I followed other people who passed here in the morning to speak about so many issues of the African Union. I followed the Commissioner of Trade. I followed other commissioners who passed here. And you can see that the center of all this development is the young people. And if we can work together with the African Development Bank, if we can work together with the African Union Commission, as we have been working together, we put strategies in place and try to put our energies together in order to create that African Youth Development Fund. And we have a big hope of knowing that we are going to have support of heads of states. And it's not only a matter of having this African Youth Development Fund, but it's also a matter of having a National Youth Development Fund. How can we have young people financed at national level in different projects and have that program? I'll give you an example of Sudan, which is having an a youth bank at national level, which has been financing projects of young people. In my own country, the Democratic Republic of Congo, we are still pushing, and there's a program financing young people, those with projects in entrepreneurship. And the coming December, we might be in Algeria with young entrepreneurs and see how we can work together to see what we can implement in terms of development. And also here in Rwanda as well, we witnessed a wonderful meeting which was here, a Youth Connect Convention, which I also saw young entrepreneurs that are really supported by the government. So it is our responsibility to lobby African leaders in making sure that we support the young people at the continent level, and young people young people participate in decision making and also in governance as stipulated in the Article 11 of the African Youth Charter. And if we have this, it will really help us. And one thing I want to remind is that it has been requested to delegations that goes to the African Union to always have at least one youth representative, so that when we are taking decision at continental level, we have young people who are also being represented, so that they can know the decision that our leaders are taking today, so that tomorrow, if these young people come to power, these young people can be able also to take the vision forward. But if these young people are not involved today, it will be very difficult for the young people to implement decisions that current leaders are making. Agenda 2063 is about young people. It's about the generation. It's about these young people who are going to be 50s tomorrow. It's about these young people who are going to be 60 tomorrow. It's about these young people who are going to be 40 tomorrow. We are not sure if we're going to have the current leaders who are deciding on the Agenda 2063, where there's a big need to have these young people involved in the Agenda 2063, so that when they come into leadership, they can be able to implement. And if they are not involved, whenever they'll come into leadership, young people will come with their own agenda. And then Agenda 2063 might not see the light of implementation. So basically, we are trying to make sure that we lobby enough, we work with African leaders, we bring the young people at the center of decision making, so that we can overcome all these issues of terrorism. We can overcome all these issues of armed groups. We can overcome so many problems. If young people have nothing to do, anybody will come and do anything they want with those young people, and they will not have peace and security, will not have all these issues. So before you sit to discuss peace and security in Africa, put young people at the center of that. If young people are the ones destabilizing Africa, you have to bring them on the table when you are making decisions. If you don't bring them on the table when you are making decisions, while they're the ones who are creating those troubles, then it will be very difficult to overcome all those problems. And if you want to overcome the issue of terrorism and insecurity, create jobs for the young people. If you want to overcome all the problems we are facing, then you have to promote youth entrepreneurship on the continent. And this is one thing that we are failing to understand. And when young people speak, we are not being listened to. And this is a big danger. Africa is at risk. And we might lose Africa in the days that are coming if we don't invest in the young people. So there is a need, a very urgent need, for us to invest in the young people at all levels, at national level, at regional level, and also at continental level. Young people issues mustn't be any other business. We have to forget about that. Young people problems should not be any other business. Young people problems need to be number one part of our agendas. And this is why I'm happy to see that next year we are going to focus on youth. African Union is going to have a theme on the young people of the continent. And I'm going to thank African leaders for deciding on that theme before the end of this summit. And I'm sure we'll be given a platform to speak and also to bring these issues that are affecting the young people of the continent. What we are asking for as young people of the continent is to be listened to be given a platform where we can be listened, to put us at the center of decision making. We don't want to sit in meetings as observers. We want to sit in meetings to be considered as partners, so that we can be able to overcome most of the issues that young people are facing. Young people must be represented at parliament. They must even co-opted, like in Rwanda we see, in other countries. So young people must sit at all levels of decision making. You cannot discuss young people without the young people. You cannot talk the agenda of the young people without having the young people at that agenda. And whatever you do for the young people without the young people, it is against the young people. Put us at the table that we need to be put at, and then test us and see what we cannot be able to do. And African youth are having big talents. if we test them, you can be surprised of what they are capable of doing. And I'm happy to see young people, since we came here in Rwanda, they are the ones running most of the things here outside. And this is some of the things that we encourage. So basically, in short, I just wanted to say that Agenda 2063 without young people, it's not an agenda. It needs to have young people at the center of decision making. In African Union, we are glad that young people, we represent young people. We come and sit in AU summits. We are given an opportunity to speak. We are given an opportunity to engage African leaders, including at the level of heads of states. We are given a chance to discuss and meet at several times the AU chairperson, who has been really friendly with the young people and with whom we have been able to do a lot of things. And also lasting to support young people in different countries, those in national youth councils, to allocate a budget to them in terms of what they can do and bring the young people together for development of our countries, and unity must prevail.
Thank you very much, madam, for your remark. To sum up what she said in terms of challenges and perspectives for African youth as regard the 2063 agenda, she showed how unemployment is really a great threat to African youth, and how exactly security matters are tackling problems of youth across the continent. And in terms of perspectives, she showed how exactly we need, or the African Union and state members need to create funds to help youth to be employed and to give them chance and opportunities to go forward in everything they are doing. And she summed up our remark by showing how it's very important to consider the Agenda 2062 of the African Union as something that needs youth in. Without youth, the agenda won't be exactly a successful agenda. So now we are going to give the floor to journalists for questions, and I want to remind you that we have short time, please, remained. Please be clear, short, and smart in your questions. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much for that comprehensive overview of the work you are doing. I'm Dr. Lendi Spires from DLS Media in South Africa. I would like to ask you one question on the issues of implementation of the Youth Charter. And I'm wondering if the incorporation of the African Youth Charter into the African peer review mechanism, if it is not there, could it be maybe incorporated in order to keep countries accountable towards this commitment? The second question is, what projects do you have or aim do you have for the youth regarding the issue of the recruitment by extremism in the continent? How will the African Union and your organization deal with such issues? And the last question I'm having is, youth broad-based economic empowerment and the companies being formed specifically for youth broad-based empowerment, not only one youth company, but a company consisting of a few thousand or a few hundred into big corporates, specifically aimed at the infrastructure development programs, specifically aimed at the energy programs, the flagship programs on the continent. Can the youth be incorporated via this broad-based economic empowerment vehicles established maybe in each country in order to take advantage of these economic activities? While we have all these other funding models going, maybe that could be a solution, and if that could be implemented towards the achievement of economic empowerment. I thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your three questions. Mr.
Merci de me donner la parole. Je m'appelle Badi Banga. Je suis journaliste à Mama Radio en République démocratique du Congo. Deux questions précises, Madame la Présidente. La première, pourquoi, selon vous, la Charte africaine de la jeunesse souffre d'une réelle application? À quel niveau ça cloche? Est-ce que cela ne vous fait pas craindre que le Fonds africain pour la jeunesse risque fort d'être un projet avorté? La deuxième question, rapidement. Depuis votre élection à la tête de l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse, le 29 novembre 2014, si je ne m'abuse, que mettez-vous à votre actif en termes d'action basée sur les résultats? Merci.
Thank you very much for your question.
Yes, my name is Eric Agnero. I lead an initiative by ECPAT and African Child Policy Forum for a campaign to speed up the implementation of Agenda 2063 as well as the SDGs related to child violence. Kids around the world, especially youth around the world, are facing a big challenge. A lot of young girls are getting married very early. We still have sexual exploitation. What do you think? What is your view about this issue, and how do you think you can promote, the goals that are related to child violence in Africa? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. To be equal, we are going to give the floor to the last one. It will be a woman because we have 2 men and 2 female here.
Heureusement, il a posé ma question. C'était la première question que j'avais. Il vient de le poser. Maintenant, je voulais savoir où en êtes-vous avec les projets-là d'appuyer les jeunes investisseurs. Dernièrement, vous avez lancé ce projet. Comment évolue ce projet? Je suis Solange Kunja de la République démocratique du Congo.
Merci.
Thank you very much for your questions. We give the floor now to the President of Pan-African Youth Union.
Thank you.
You have the floor, Madam.
Thank you very much. Allow me first to answer these first questions, then I'll come back to conclude with your questions. Let me first answer the first questions in terms of the peer review mechanism. If young people are being considered and so on. And of course, you also touch the issue of projects that we have in terms of the Youth Charter and the implementation of the Youth Charter at the national level, at continental level. And another one was on the program that we have in terms of the Youth Charter and why the Youth Charter has not been really implemented at national level. I'll answer the first question in English and the second question is in French because it has been posed in French. If you can see in the restructuring of the African Youth Charter, of African structures in terms of the restructuring that will take place, you'll see that we're going to have a youth department, a strategic youth department that will depend directly with the office of the chairperson, like the women. Like you can see that women-related issues were championed by the chairperson because the chairperson had gender at her table directly in her office, and women were attached to the office of the chairperson directly. So there have been an issue of the youth-related matters not really being being worked on properly in terms of the African Union. But you can see that we're going to have a youth department. This is a milestone, and we have worked a lot on this. We have really fought hard in the past to make sure that we have this. And I remember when we had the chairperson, Her Excellency Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, in January during the intergenerational dialogue, we reminded her of this department. And I was happy to be informed last month by her office that finally we're going to have a youth department within the African Union. It's not going to be a division under a certain department, but it's going to be a department that's going to be attached to the chairperson's office. And with this, we hope that we can champion youth-related matters on the continent, because there will be people working on this seriously, and also to ensure the implementation of the the 10-year implementation plan that we also had, the Malabo Declaration on Youth and Unemployment of the summit that took place in Malabo in 2011 on youth, and so on. So all those instruments, so that we can have people who can champion this instrument, like in other organizations, like in the Commonwealth, like in the UN, with the UN envoy on youth, Mr. Ahmad Alendawi has been doing a wonderful job with us, and we believe that with this youth division, we can be able to do a wonderful job within the Commission, and also to finance youth-related matters. Because one of the issues now, the challenge within the African Union is that whenever we have youth-related issues, there are no funds. And this is really not serious. And this is what we keep on pushing and saying, that let's take African youth issues seriously. And not only when it comes to youth that there are no funds. We cannot fund our own young people. This is unacceptable, that we have only partners that have to come and fund youth-related programs within the African Union, and also partners who have to, every time, paying tickets for young people to attend meetings. This is not really appropriate, because we have young people at national youth level that have to go and represent their countries, and they have to struggle even to get a single ticket in order for them to represent their countries. But when we see delegations going to summits of governments, we see a delegation of 40 people, we see a delegation of 30 people. But when it comes to young people-related matters, you always find young people not having the resources that that they need in terms of them representing their countries. And also, let us not forget that partners are having own agenda. There is no partner that can finance without promoting his or her own agenda. So we have to do our best. We have to finance the African Union at 100%. This is very important, so that we can enable Africa to take independent decisions, and also to enable Africa to fully be called an African Union, because the African Union, as per the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah and others who created this union, is not the African Union that we are living today. We want to live a true African Union. We want to have an Africa that we want. An Africa that we want is a peaceful Africa. An Africa that we want is an Africa that can provide education for all the young people, young women, like any other young people on the continent. An Africa where a young person can leave Cairo to go study in South Africa without struggling for a visa. An Africa where a young person can leave Rwanda to go to any place in Africa without any barrier. An Africa where a young entrepreneur can leave Algeria to go to Sudan, or can leave Sudan to go to Congo and have his project or a project being implemented and supported. An Africa where we have unity, an Africa where we have Ubuntu, the spirit that we live together regardless of the challenges that we are having. This is the kind of Africa that the young people want to see. And basically, that division is going to champion this African youth agenda within the continent. And we're going to have next year a theme on youth. And this theme, it's not just going to be a theme where heads of state come and, yes, is a theme we sing and it goes. No. We want next year, as Africa will focus on youth, for Africa to implement at least 2 or 3 things big for the young people, including the African Youth Fund that can enable us to finance African youth in general. There was a question about the early marriages, the young women, and so on, the sexual violence and so on. Young women is also human rights. No young women, to my own knowledge, should be titled to any early marriage or be forced to go into any marriage without her reaching the age that is needed for her to have the possibility also to live her dreams in life and so on. I don't believe, if I never went to school, if I could have the opportunity to speak in front of you, is simply because I went to school and my parents just saw that a young woman also is not that the person that should stay in the kitchen, but a young woman is also deserves to be in a school, deserves to be educated, to understand her rights, to stand for what she has to stand for. A young woman can also be a leader of tomorrow. A young woman can also be a head of state of tomorrow, can be a prime minister, can be a member of parliament, can also be one day live our dreams. So we are also fighting early marriages, child marriages, like African Union. There are programs that are there, and also at national level. I saw the program we were doing on Twitter recently with UNFPA of saying we are giving red card to early marriages, we are giving red card to child marriages, and this is what we are fighting for together with partners. A girl's place is in school, a girl's place is not in marriage. And this requires effort at national level. It needs also political will. Why not put in place policies that can be tough in terms of those who can be caught in forcing especially young people into early marriages. So we are also working on that with our partners, of course, UNFPA. We are also working with UNESCO. We are also working with other partners in order to see how together, through the SDGs, with the UN envoy on youth, the UN Secretary General envoy on youth, whom we are working also with closely, to see how we can fight together, because collective work will help us to have concrete results. I mean, when we work in our own corners, we won't be able to bring out results that are needed in terms of overcoming all these challenges. But our result depends on what member states are doing at national level. If member states are not doing enough at national level, then we also don't have what to report on, because we have to push member states at national level to realize some certain concrete actions in terms of youth, also including young women, and also to help young women to get out of the fear of leadership, of trying and tell these young girls we are having in our houses that you can also do this, you can also do this, you can also do engineering. Because I remember when I was young, you get in families where they tell you a young woman should just go there and do these things of these courses that are very that are not tough. Like you cannot do engineering, you cannot do medicine, you cannot do all these big and tough courses. You cannot do law, you cannot do what and what. But we have to encourage our young people that you can also do engineering, you can also become an engineer, you can also become a medical doctor, you can also become this and this. This is part on how we can encourage our young people, especially also the young women. So to conclude on these questions, allow me to have 2 minutes for our French. And don't forget that I'm also from Congo, though I speak a lot of English, but the language we use mostly is French. So I'd like to answer the question of my brother here from the Mama Radio from DRC. J'aimerais tout d'abord dire que nos résultats dépendent à 80% de ce que les États sont en train de faire au niveau de leurs États. Donc notre travail, c'est plus un travail pour nous de faire le plaidoyer au niveau des États. Nous ne pouvons pas dire que nous allons faire ça et ça, nous avons tel budget pour faire ça et ça, mais plutôt nous pouvons dire que nous avions mené des plaidoyers au niveau du continent, au niveau des États, pour nous amener à tel et tel résultat. C'est ça notre travail. Maintenant, au niveau de l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse, on a tout fait pour prioriser la promotion de l'entrepreneuriat chez les jeunes, parce qu'on a compris que l'entrepreneuriat est très important pour créer l'emploi, est très important pour réduire les taux de chômage des jeunes au niveau du continent et au niveau des États. C'est là où est venue l'idée de la création du Fonds africain pour le développement de la jeunesse. Ce fonds ne viendra pas de l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse. Ce fonds ne viendra pas de moi étant que la présidente de la jeunesse africaine. Ce fonds ne viendra pas du comité exécutif de l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse. Ce fonds doit être les efforts des États membres et bien sûr qu'avec le soutien de la Banque africaine de développement, avec nos partenaires, pour voir comment nous pouvons tous matérialiser ces fonds et appuyer les jeunes entrepreneurs, surtout dans les milieux ruraux et les secteurs agricoles, qui est très important. Et moi, je pense que les jeunes Africains, à travers l'agriculture, peuvent faire des miracles sur le continent. Mais quand même, je peux dire que nous sommes très contents, nous sommes fiers de voir qu'après notre élection, comme vous venez de le dire tout à l'heure, en 2014 en Afrique du Sud, après notre élection, on a été quand même à la hauteur de redynamiser la structure, que personne ne parlait plus de l'Union panafricaine de la jeunesse sur le continent. Les choses étaient presque par terre. Mais on a été quand même, je peux dire, pendant une année, essayer quand même de réveiller les choses, de voir comment réveiller un peu la conscience de nos autorités, de se rappeler et comprendre qu'il y a quand même une jeunesse africaine qui existe. Il y a quand même une jeunesse africaine qu'il faut considérer. Il y a quand même une jeunesse qui est en train de mourir dans le mer, qui dans la mer Méditerranée, bien qui demeure quoi, les jeunes qui sont en train de la migration et tous ces problèmes-là. Et nous sommes contents de voir que nous avons quand même le soutien des dirigeants africains. Je ne me rappelle pas d'où j'ai demandé l'audience à un chef d'État africain et il a refusé de m'accorder l'audience pour échanger avec lui et lui faire parvenir les doléances des jeunes de son État ou les doléances des jeunes africains. Alors, ce qu'on va faire l'année prochaine, pour le sommet de l'année prochaine, on a déjà mobilisé certains chefs d'État. Nous allons avoir des réunions parallèles, sauf changement, uniquement sur la jeunesse et la création du fonds pour le développement de la jeunesse. Ça sera pour le sommet prochain, en janvier, au niveau de l'Union africaine. Et nous allons amener le leader des jeunes africains à ce sommet pour concerter les jeunes, parce que nous ne pouvons pas parler des jeunes sans les jeunes, nous ne pouvons pas parler à leur nom sans les impliquer ou les consulter. Mais je vous dis que le Fonds africain de la jeunesse, c'est déjà la volonté de tous les jeunes africains, avec des consultations qu'on a menées au niveau de la réunion qu'on avait à Banjul, au niveau de l'Union africaine, et nous sommes contents de vous dire que l'initiative a été adoptée au niveau des ministres de jeunesse le mois passé à Addis Abeba. Il reste seulement pour nous de suivre d'autres processus au niveau de l'Union jusqu'à ce que ça arrive au sommet des chefs d'État pour nous permettre d'avoir ces fonds et de fonctionner. Et aussi les États qui nous aident beaucoup. Notre siège est au Soudan. La République démocratique du Congo nous soutient et nous appuie beaucoup dans ce que nous sommes en train de faire, et d'autres États qui nous accompagnent dans beaucoup de choses, l'Algérie et l'Afrique du Sud et d'autres États, l'Afrique centrale, tout comme de l'Afrique de l'Est ou du Nord, de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Donc bref, nous avons les soutiens qu'il faut. Il nous reste maintenant à nous de voir quelle est notre responsabilité pour plus pousser les dirigeants à voir comment, avec toute diplomatie bien sûr, avec beaucoup d'intelligence pour les aborder et voir comment travailler avec eux pour nous permettre de trouver des solutions aux problèmes qui affectent les jeunes sur le continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for your remark and for all explanations you have given to questions from journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that we have taken so much time exactly as recommended.
I will take one more. Give him that for 2 minutes. I will take one more.
Thank you very much.
For
We can
2
do it
minutes.
expressionally.
Don't be bad.
Please, you can have the floor, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Francine.
But in less than 10 minutes, you must
Oh,
allow
yes.
me to run away from here.
Yeah,
Because I'm needed somewhere there. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Ethan Tashobia. I'm a journalist with the New Times Rwanda. In your recent visit to Burundi, that was on about 25th June, it was in June, you met President Paul Nkurunziza. And one of the things you discussed was you told him that young people must be in the center of peace process, and that regardless of their ratification of their affiliations. That's according to your post on Facebook, and that's what I'm reading. And looking at the current situation in Burundi and what you discussed with President Nkurunziza, and seeing that youth continue to die each and every day, as a youth activist, what comes into your mind after discussing with President Nkurunziza himself?
Thank you very much. I knew that question was going to come because it has been really something going on within the media, and I expected it to come. Allow me first to say that we are all concerned of what is happening in Burundi. A problem in Burundi is a problem in Africa, is a problem of all of us. I had a mission in Burundi 2 weeks ago. I met leaders, including at the highest level of the country, President, His Excellency President Nkurunziza. I also met the first Vice President. I met the President of Senate. I met the Minister of Justice, and I also met other leaders. And most importantly, what was important to me was to meet the young people of Burundi, whom I met, including those being detained in prisons, in the central prison of Bujumbura. We are all following, and the time I was in Burundi, African Union Peace and Security Council team was also in Burundi. What is important for me is to encourage the dialogue. In any conflict. Without dialogue, it will be very difficult to overcome any conflict of any circumstance or any situation. It is within the responsibility of Burundian people to sit together and see how they can find solutions to problems that are affecting Burundi at the moment. And I think us, at the level of the international community, what we have to do is to work together with the people of Burundi in trying to find solutions to problems that Burundi is going through. I also met the advisor to the facilitator of the dialogue in the dialogue of Burundian people, which is being organized by the East African community, and the advisor to His Excellency President Mukapa, who is the Kenyan ambassador to Burundi. And we also discussed most of those issues. And what was so important to me that I discussed with President Nkurunziza is to see how we can work together on the young people who are detained, especially with the Minister of Justice. We have a program that we have started in trying to see how most of those young people can be released and can be integrated back in the community. Those who can go back to school can go to school, and those that can come back to, those who can want to come back with entrepreneurship programs can be integrated in the community. So it's now for us to mobilize resources in terms of seeing how we can help those young people, Burundian young people, and the situation normally, which has been really a big polemic in terms of the what people had to comment in terms of what we gave as result. We were being honest, and to be very honest with you, we were being honest in terms of what we found in place. And we cannot say that we were blind to some certain issues. And what we said it without any influence, be it at national level, regional level, or international level. We say it with our consciousness, and we say it with the will to help the people of Burundi. We said it with the will to help the young people of Burundi without considering which part of the political affiliation they come, because we represent all the young people. We don't have the young people that we represent that are part of the government, or we have the young people that we represent are part of the opposition. We represent all the young people, including criminals, including those young people are disturbing. We represent all the young people where we have the responsibility to see how we can help all those young people. Our criminals can stop being criminals. Those using drugs can stop using drugs. So this is the responsibility we have. And people quoted it very wrongly, some of the people. But I will repeat it here that we said what we said with our consciousness, with honesty, because of what we found on the ground. And our position was the position of the East African community, the East African community, and of course the position of the African Union Security Council, which was also there on the ground. Why is that what the youth have to say has to create all of these dilemmas and people and going what and so on? I think it is part of discouraging us in going to work on this issue, which we are not going to be discouraged. We are going to work on the issue of Burundi like we work on the issues of other countries. We have worked on the issue of DRC in the eastern part of Beni. We are working now with the issue of South Sudan, and this is the way we'll also work with the issue of Burundi. It's not because we are blind and we are saying everything is fine. We are not saying everything is fine, but at least there have been improvement. And if that small improvement, which has been there because the situation of Burundi in 2015 is not the situation of Burundi in 2016. So with this, let us see how we can work together. With Burundi, all of us, regardless of these problems, and Burundi is not the only country having problems on the continent. There are countries facing serious problems on the continent. But let us see how we can work together. Regardless of these issues, we bring the people of Burundi together. Those who are having problems, those who are having, they have to sit together and see how to find solution. You can never overcome conflicts without sitting together. You can never overcome any conflict without sitting together and trying to find solutions. If you don't talk, you don't find solutions to any problem you have at national level, at international level, and also at continental level. We love all the Burundian people, and we are to work together to make sure that we overcome the problems in Burundi and beyond, like in any other part of the continent.
Thank you very much, madam, for your final remark on the explanations to questions. We do apologize exactly according to time we have taken. Thank you very much, all journalists who attended this conference press. Thank you also for all media.